The 11th edition of the Volvo Ocean Race is at its midway point, as our 6 intrepid teams prepare to leave Auckland and tackle the might and the ultimate test of the Southern Ocean and head towards the Brazilian port of Itajaí. It is a chance to reflect on the drama of the race up to now. November 2011, and the port of Alicante is bustling with activity ahead of the start of the Volvo Ocean Race. 9 legs of the most hostile oceans lay ahead for the 6 teams. The opening leg took the boats from the Spanish port to Cape Town on a 6,500 nautical mile traditional trading route, seeking out trade winds and crossing the doldrums before turning east and heading towards the South African coast. Ian Walker's Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing won the first import race, the curtain raiser event at each location, and an important early psychological edge. But once the first leg had started, the fleet hit a dramatic first night storm.
Essentially, we just fell down a hole in the sea. I mean, we came off the back of a wave, the boat fell, it was pretty much weightless feeling.
Rig's bust in 2 places. Cape Town's a long way away right now.
I guess the first feeling was disbelief. How could this have happened? How could this have happened so quickly? How, you know, just total and utter disbelief, and then an empty feeling.
Bowman Wade Bubsy Morgan took matters into his own hands as he and the crew attempted to retrieve the mainsail.
I might slip down the mainsail and pick up the lock line at the third reef. Might be able to pop it off the lock.
Abu Dhabi headed back to Alicante. Shore crew heroics meant the boat managed to restart the race, but soon after Walker made the difficult decision to call a halt to the Azam's opening leg. The first 24 hours also claimed another victim. Team Sanya's bowman Andy Micklejohn broke his ankle. With a man down, their problems had only just begun.
It felt like we'd just run into thick mud, you know, and at the same time, big shout from on deck, you know, check the bow, feels like we've got a lot of water on board. At that time, it's really easy for the boat to pretty much tear itself apart.
Sanya's race was over. 2 boats down before the fleet had even left the Mediterranean. For the remaining 4, the strategizing really began once they cleared the Straits of Gibraltar. 2 options confronted the teams: hug the coast of Africa or head west. Frank Camas and the Groupama sailing team chose the former.
Our option wasn't a risky one because we were getting close to the direct route. We tried to get into the trade winds as quickly as possible, the trade winds being the winds that allow you to reach the equator. We knew they weren't far off.
Chris Nicholson's camper with Emirates Team New Zealand initially chose Groupama's route, but tactically changed their mind after deciding they wouldn't benefit from any trade winds. They rejoined Team Telefonica and Puma Ocean Racing powered by Berg out west, a decision that cost them precious time.
We've got a lot to catch up. The guys are sort of 40 miles in front. When we were parked up last night, they were out here moving west, so a lot to do actually. Not happy.
As Groupama's African coast lead stretched to 140 miles, an intriguing battle out west between Telefonica and Puma was developing.
Sailing against Puma was simply fantastic. They're a great team and very experienced too. They're proven winners on several occasions, and being there, battling head-to-head against them, it was a fantastic experience for us.
Groupama became snared in the doldrums, and their astonishing lead simply vanished. Puma and Telefonica went head-to-head as they reached the waypoint of Leg 1, the archipelago of Fernando de Noronha. But then the Ocean Race claimed its third victim.
We had a complete disaster. Cruising along, reached along, 23 knots of breeze, reef, jib, staysail, and the mast fell over the side. And then some clear heroics from the crew. You know, Casey, knowing full well that I wouldn't let him jump in the water to cut the mainsail free to try to save the mainsail, just jumped in without asking my permission. The bottom line is, our leg's over. It's a sad day.
Puma limped towards one of the most remote places on the planet, the island of Tristan da Cunha, to regroup and make plans for the start of Leg 2. Further back, tough conditions were proving difficult for Camper. South African Mike Paminter fell victim to the waves.
I'm just going to change to the J1, and Mike went forward to surf down a wave, and he just got washed back, knocked the front tooth out of his opened up the side of his lip. Bit of a bump on the head.
With Camper in second place and a man down, they couldn't stop Iker Martinez's men as they stormed towards the South African port and a first leg victory.
We're extremely happy. The truth is, there's no better way to fight for overall victory than winning the first leg. The boat worked really well, as have the team. Everything went really well. I'm very proud of all of them.
A dramatic opening race, and this was only the beginning. Cape Town. The three teams who dramatically crashed out of the first leg all made it to the city in time. For some, it was a chance for rest and relaxation, and for others, it was a time for personal maintenance. Between the fleet and Abu Dhabi was a secret safe haven port that would conclude phase 1 of the race, in place due to threats of piracy. Stage 2 would be a sprint finish to the United Arab Emirates capital. After a slow start, it wasn't long before drama once more unfolded, and disaster hit Team Sanya.
Yeah, well, it's all a bit disappointing and sad here on the Team Sanya boat. We're going for a sail change, and David Rolfe is running a leeward sheet for the new fractional zero, and looked up in there, the D2, the piece of rigging that comes from the mast to the bottom spreader was flapping in the wind, and unfortunately that's the end of our race.
Another blow for Sanya, but fortune was favouring Telefonica, who stormed into contention after riding favourable weather.
That big rain cloud ahead. Once we get past it, we'll be on the line of convergence, and then, whoosh.
Now with the momentum, Telefonica had leaders Camper in their sights.
Those were very fast miles because we were across the wind, and those are fast conditions, so we caught them up little by little, and we're lucky when we got to a zone with atolls where Camper had to turn, and then we saw them passing across our bow. They were 3 or 4 miles away. We could see them. We could see their lights. And then we really started to race them.
We got nailed by a pretty average cloud just before the first atoll, to which Telefonica were a bit further removed. I think we still had over 200 miles to go, so it was like a long way. And you kind of knew just there and then that you're in for a long battle.
The conclusion to the first phase of Leg 2 would be full of drama.
Here we are 30 miles from the finish. For the last 24 hours we have been really sticking to Camper.
To Telefonica's starboard line, about 1 mile away. It's
slowly catching. Long way to go.
Whose race is going to be 9 days? It's something you write movies about, mate.
And they literally came down parallel to the coral and went literally around our bow. So they 1 mile lead that took us days to work on and to develop disappeared in about 10 minutes.
We've just rolled the Kiwis. They're just behind us. You can see that green light probably. Now we're coming up. I might have to come and help Rind.
It was a hard fight that was very, very difficult because Camper was extremely aggressive. They were ready to take big risks. We didn't want to let them through, so we had a lot to do. I remember being in total agony and being very nervous as there was a lot of danger.
After one of the most dramatic duels in Volvo Ocean Race history, Telefonica crossed the line 1 minute 57 seconds ahead of Camper.
You can't put what you did into a leg like that and lead as often as we did and not feel gutted, for sure. You know, that's probably the appropriate word for it.
The rest of the fleet, minus Sanya, who were carrying out boat repairs in Madagascar, were transported to the coast for the second phase of the race. Frank Camus's Group Armour claimed victory in the sprint finish and 6 valuable points. But it was Telefonica who had the biggest share of the spoils. Second place in the sprint added to their first phase win. Their overall lead had increased to 8 points.
It's fantastic. We have an even bigger advantage over the second place boat, and that's something really good. To be on the podium always feels good, so it's great. What more can I say?
Interest in the Volvo Ocean Race in the city of Abu Dhabi had grown to new heights, thanks in no small part to Adil Khalid, the first Emirati to take part in the epic global race.
Oh, it's a great feeling to be in UAE, and it's a different world to be Emirati or UAE national representing UAE around the world. Of course, my family, they are proud of me, and you know, everyone, like, they're excited. And so many people, they came to me and, Adil, we want to be in Volvo Ocean with you one day. And the small kids, Adil, take us with you. We want to go to Volvo. And I said, why not? You can be in my place one day and representing Abu Dhabi.
Khalid's spirits were raised further when the Azam won its home import race. Ahead, once more the leg would be divided into 2 parts to avoid piracy threats. Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing won the first stage, a sprint to Sharjah.
The guys sailed really well. Jules was spot on with all the ley lines. Boat handling was good. We had good speed and yeah, fantastic result.
The fleet was loaded onto container ships to the Maldives for the second stage of the leg that would take the fleet past Sri Lanka, east through the Malacca Straits, before turning north to Sanya. Soon after the start of Phase 2, Team Telefonica ran into trouble with their Code Zero sail.
You couldn't really imagine the reaction of the guys on board. It really is soul-destroying. We hadn't got a great start out of the Maldives, and all of a sudden there's a gigantic bang. And your boat speed's gone from 11 knots to 2.5 knots. So things are going bad. As luck would have it, the breeze built and we went to a smaller sail, which happened to be the right sail, as everybody else had changed to that sail as well.
Telefonica were down but not out. The fleet reached Sumatra and all 6 teams were close. By the time they entered the dangerous Malacca Straits, one of the world's busiest trading routes, the Spanish team was in the lead.
We entered the Malacca Straits. Camper was on our tail. We had a good view of Puma, and we had a good look at Groupama. We were all pretty close to each other.
Camper and Abu Dhabi headed for the Malaysian coast, a move that proved costly. Lack of breeze and challenging currents meant they had to anchor to prevent going backwards.
So the call was made to get the anchor prepared, and we've just thrown that over the side, which is a first for me and around the world race, that's for sure.
Ahead, the fleet faced an ever-increasing number of dangers.
We were going around the outside of the group, got a little offshore of the other two guys we were with. Darn close to leading boat for boat at that point. And we stick the thing into a fishnet. Very frustrating watching the fleet sail away. I tell you what, it wasn't easy getting out of that bloody thing.
Once Camper got back into the race, Lady Luck remained elusive.
We hit a fishing net several days ago, and then we've had trouble with our bearing system on our dagger board up down. We'll slow the boat up, drop the keel down so the boat hurls over, throw Mike over the side on a halyard, and we'll either cut the rope away or try and tear it out and then continue on.
As the tacking numbers rose to avoid the debris, so did the heat, making the conditions at times unbearable.
It's bloody hot and humid hoops. The spectrometer is just through the roof.
With the sun blistering the teams, the heaviest traffic seen to date was experienced as the fleet passed Singapore.
It's like sailing down the M25 on the wrong side of the road at 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And you've got to get to Heathrow because your flight's leaving to go home. Your wife's going to be angry if you don't make it home for dinner.
After a long, hard fight in the most dangerous and testing environment, Telefonica emerged as the leading crew, hotly pursued by Groupama.
Leaving the Malacca Straits and taking the lead, yes, that was important. It meant that the others would be worrying about how to get past the leaders. So it really was a key point of the leg.
Telefonica led the fleet home. A hat-trick of victories saw them further embed their place at the top of the overall standings. Even more remarkable given their sail difficulties earlier in the leg. Less than 2 hours later, Frank Camas claimed second spot. Camper, Puma, Abu Dhabi, and finally Sanya all safely came into port. And what a reception the home crew got. On board Team Sanya was Tiger. Like Khalid before him, he was only too happy to bring the boat into its home port.
Happy. Extreme happy. Yeah. Yeah, welcome China. Welcome Sanya. Yeah.
People knowing, obviously had practiced speaking English to be able to say things to us. People knowing who Tiger was and the champion that he is. Yeah, it was unbelievable, really.
The safety of the fleet was paramount in the decision to delay the start of Leg 4 to Auckland by 18 hours. Weather conditions were seen as life-threatening. Once the Leg 4 race to New Zealand began, the expected tough conditions were soon relentless.
There's been a bit of vomiting going around, and yeah, I've been feeling fairly average, I'd have to say. I've only had about one bowl of muesli in 3 days, that's about it, but other than that, I'm all right.
After being at the mercy of the ocean, Puma made the decision to break north to find more favourable conditions.
We almost lost half the crew. Tommy and I are sitting there like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And all right, guys, we're going upwind for a day and a half while everybody goes to Auckland, we're going to head towards Japan. And some of the guys are like, what?
New Zealand's down there. Japan's that way. Taiwan's there. Did I mention New Zealand's down there?
At the head of the pack, Groupama and Camper needed to act fast, as Puma's northerly route found better winds. The French team headed north to take on Ken Reid's crew.
It was the key moment of this leg, and we needed to react relatively quickly to be able to head back north. We needed to control Puma, who had proved to be the most dangerous boat.
Meanwhile, Camper were also in contention, but ill-judged sailing maneuvers cost them dear.
Blow another sail up. Big explosion. Really? On the foredeck, yeah.
The only people to look at, the only people to blame for this one is us. So there's a difference there with this one. So you know, can guarantee you it won't happen again.
But Camper were not the only boat to have sail issues. Puma also ran into trouble.
I hear some commotion on deck, and I'm at the nav station, and I kind of look out, and it's like guys are holding on for dear life. And the boat at that point is just on the verge of completely out of control. And what happened was there's a piece of rope, in essence, that holds the tack of the jib down. It's hydraulically operated up and down, tightens the luff of the jib, and that strop broke.
The experienced Ryan Godfrey worked around the clock to repair the sail and put Puma back in the race.
So it's a pretty big job, but it's lucky we had good materials to do the repair, and the sewing machine's running really well, so it's actually went well.
Ryan saved this leg for us. There's no doubt about it. You know, God took it down and Ryan put it back up.
Out in front were Groupama. After negotiating the Solomon Islands, Frank Camus's men were spearing towards Auckland.
Right now we're on the home straight. Still upwind for the rest of the boats behind us, so I think no reason that we're not going to be crossing the finish line first.
We must have hit a floating object, which then pierced the front of the hull. Thankfully, it was at the front of the bulkhead. But it tore off, afloat, and water went into the compartment. And at one stage, the bow was completely submerged. And when you're not sure whether you can fill the hole and get water off the boat quicker than it comes in, of course then, it's a huge concern.
Groupama's crew bailed water as quickly as they could, and eventually they sailed into harbour as winners of Leg 4.
It's always a magical moment when you arrive at night. It was 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, so even though we were still sailing, we could hear the noise and see the crowd on dry land, who were all looking out towards us. So it creates a great feeling on board, and after spending 3 weeks together without seeing a single soul, as you arrive at the head of the fleet, it's a really magical moment.
Puma came in second place. Their early strategic gambles had paid off. Behind them, the battle for third caught the eye of the home nation. After battling against the ocean and sail issues, Camper were homing in on Telefonica. After more than 20 days at sea, less than 2 minutes separated the boats.
We got closer, and then all of a sudden it came down to the wire.
But it was too late for Camper. Their dream of a podium finish dashed as Telefonica crossed the line. Abu Dhabi and Sanya brought up the rear, in front of an enthusiastic crowd. Battered and bruised, it was now a race against time for the crews to get ready for Leg 5 and the ultimate test that is the Southern Ocean.
I don't look forward to it, but it's a necessary evil for the mystique of the race to live.
We haven't had enough sleep.
we haven't had enough time to fully prepare, and we certainly haven't had enough time to get our bodies back to what they need to be. We've doubled the amount of protein shakes we're taking this leg to try and keep it up, because the more you lose it, the worse it gets. It becomes a spiral.
You know, your only friend out there is an albatross flying around, and they seem to be laughing at you half the time. What the heck are you doing down here? So it's not for the faint of heart.
As our fleet leaves Auckland, ahead are unimaginable dangers. Overall leaders Telefonica will be hoping to extend their 15-point lead in the standings. With 30 points going to the first boat in Brazil, Groupama and Camper are in contention to claim the top position at their expense. Leg 5 is guaranteed to be the ultimate test for the Volvo Ocean Race fleet.